Hi, and welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith, and in this video, we're going to learn the 1 to 5 player game Origin Story, designed by Jamie Stegmaier and Pete Wisinger, and published by Stonemaier Games, who helped sponsor this video. You always knew you were destined for greatness. You just needed the right gadgets, allies, and a superpower. But before anyone can become a superhero or villain, they need an origin story. So, join me at the table and let's learn how to play. To set up, separate these 3 decks of cards by their backs and shuffle each one individually. These are known as the playing, story, and event cards, which you'll set within reach of the players. Nearby, also create a supply of these stamina tokens. Now randomly give each person one of these player mats. We'll assume we have 3 players returning any extras back to the box. Each player opens their mat and takes a stamina token from the supply to set into this area. They each also collect one of these double-sided alignment and victory point tiles, and it doesn't matter which side is face up for now, but ensure the dials are both set to 0. Here we have the player reference cards, and although these sides are all the same, they each have a unique superhero showing on their other side. Shuffle them so only the player reference side is showing, and then deal 2 of them to each player, returning the rest unseen back to the box. You can look at the superheroes you were dealt at any time, but keep them a secret from the other players by storing them with their reference side face up here. Then the person who most recently watched a superhero movie is given this dealer token. Or you can just choose someone randomly. And that's the setup. In Origin Story, you and the other players will be engaging in a style of play often referred to as a trick-taking game. If you're not familiar with that type of game, do not worry, we'll go over everything together. For now, just know that you are each on your way to becoming superheroes or villains as you play out your personal origin story, earning victory points as you go. Earn the most points by the end of the game, and you'll win. Now, there are some adjustments when you have a 2-player game, and we'll go over those at the end of this video. But no matter how many players you have, the game is played over 5 rounds, and a round begins with the person holding the dealer token, who now collects the player card deck. These are the cards with this back, which they now use to deal 8 cards face down to every player. You can examine your own cards, but keep them a secret from the other players. Now don't forget, you'll have a player reference to refer to as you go through the steps of a round, and we just completed this step. As it says here, during the 3rd round, you'll resolve an event. But since we're in the 1st round, we'll skip this for now and talk about events later. Next, we go to this step, and if it's round 1, 2, 3, or 4, which it is, we're told to gain 1 stamina and draw 3 story cards. The stamina you take from the general supply and add to this area where you keep any stamina you've gained, and the 3 story cards you take from this deck. Story cards represent different types of powers, enemies, talents, and other aspects that will contribute to your hero's origin, and these have various effects at their bottom, which we'll learn about later. From the 3 you gained, pick any one to put on your playmat in the numbered section matching the round you're currently playing. So if I chose this card in round 1, I'd place it here. The other 2 you put into a face-down shared discard pile, and I like to rotate these sideways so I can easily see the difference between the draw deck and the discard pile. We'll see why you might choose one story card over another in a moment, but now we move to the Charge Abilities with Stamina step of the round. Here you move stamina tokens from this area to matching shaped icons anywhere on your player board in order to charge their related abilities. Charging an ability allows you to use it. For example, the charge requirements of this ability is 2 tokens. So if I place both of these here, then this is available for me to use. But now I'm out of stamina, so I cannot charge this ability. A charged ability will tell you when it can be used right here. In this case, at the time it's charged, which is now. So I would resolve this and draw 2 cards from the deck and then discard 2 cards. If an effect does not specify the types of card you should draw, it is referring to playing cards. So we gain 2 and then we discard any 2, which could even include some or both of the ones that you just drew. And when you discard playing cards, you put those face down as well. Your board will have an ability printed on it in the area here, and sometimes an ability has more than one cost. If so, you can choose how many of them to charge. So this player might put one here and then another on this effect. When you see this symbol inside of the stamina icon, it means that to resolve the related effect, you have to remove the charged stamina tokens from one of its cost spaces, returning them to your supply, in order to resolve the effect. That said, other than when charged abilities, most, like this one, occur later in the game, so we'll talk about them then. But keep an eye out for any that say they are ongoing. These take effect when their ability says they would apply, which could be right away, as it is in this case. Also pay attention to any that have a stamina icon with this megaphone symbol beside it. At the very beginning of this charge abilities step of the turn, starting with the player to the left of the dealer and going clockwise around the table once, every player who plans to charge an ability with a megaphone icon must do it now. These types of abilities depend on or affect other players and must be charged before any other types of abilities. And you should make sure everyone is aware of these megaphone icon charge ability related effects, even if they aren't being resolved until later. After players have had a turn to charge those types of abilities, everyone can charge any other abilities they want to, and you don't have to take turns. Players should be charging these all at the same time. Just be aware your charged abilities are public information. Anyone who wants to know what they do can just ask. Also, you don't have to use all of your stamina. Just leave any extra you have in this area. But any stamina you don't place cannot be used to charge abilities later this round. Once everyone has charged as many abilities as they can or wish to, we move to the reveal alignment step of the round. Your alignment board has two sides, the hero and villain side. Secretly, every player picks a side they plan to use this round. And once everyone is ready, they reveal their choices at the same time, putting their dial with the chosen side face up in front of themselves. The side you pick will influence how you earn points later in the round, and we'll see how that works later. Now, all the steps we've followed so far have brought us to what is known as the trick-taking part of the round, where everyone will play cards from their hand. The cards are made up of 4 different types, known as suits, which are identified by the general color of the art and matching colored icon in their corners with a unique symbol. Green represents brains, blue is for speed, red represents strength, and yellow indicates love. Within each suit, you'll find exactly 13 cards numbered from 1 to 13. Playing cards begins with the leader, which starts as the person seated to the left of the one with the dealer token. This leader now performs what is known as leading the first trick. That just means they pick any one card to play from their hand face up into the center of the table. This is called playing a card into the trick. The suit found on the card is known as the lead suit. So here, speed was led for this trick. Now going in clockwise order from the leader, each other player must play a card into the trick. And the card they play must match the suit that led the trick if possible. This is known as following suit. This player is next, so if they have a speed card, they must play it. And they do. They have a couple of choices actually, and they can pick either of them to follow suit with, and we'll say that they choose this. Now the next player goes, but they don't have any speed cards in their hand, and when it's impossible to follow suit, and only then, you can play any cards you have. So maybe they choose this one. After each person has added one card to the trick, you check to see who won it. The winner is the person who played the highest valued card in the led suit. So in this example, the player here led with a speed card, and this was the highest valued speed card played, so this person won, which is also called winning the trick. Now this value is higher than any of the other played cards, but it's not in the lead suit, so it cannot win the trick. Well, not usually. In most cases, the highest value played in the lead suit always wins. But there is an exception. Remember how this player didn't have any speed cards? When you can't follow the lead suit, you can play any card from your hand. They chose this one, so they cannot win the trick because it's not from the lead suit. But let's say they had played a love suit instead. This is a special suit, which in trick-taking games is also known as the trump suit. If a trick contains any love cards, the highest valued love card always wins the trick, even if it's not the lead suit. So now in this example, this player wins. Either way, once you've determined who won the trick, they collect the cards and put them face down in front of themselves. Then that player leads the next trick, playing a card from their hand as the lead suit. And you'll continue playing tricks with the winner of each one collecting the trick and then leading the next one. As a player gains multiple tricks, offset them like this so you can easily see how many tricks each player has. That said, no one can ever look through the faces of the cards from previous tricks. Also remember, you might have charged abilities. If so, you can resolve them at the time their ability indicates. This one resolves on your turn, which means when it would be your turn to play a card into a trick, as it says here, after you've played a card, you may remove a stamina from this ability to draw a card and then discard one. The stamina you remove goes back to your supply, and if you don't have any stamina left here, you can no longer use this effect. But this requirement to spend a stamina to use a charged ability only applies to ones with this removal icon inside of their stamina cost symbol. Here we have an ability where the charge does not show the removal icon, so this charge stays here the entire round, and its effect resolves every time you win a trick. In this case, it says if you won the trick and didn't play a love suit, you gain 1 VP, also known as a victory point. Anytime you gain victory points, track them using your dials. And just so you know, this will increase the value on the other side by the same amount. We know the printed values of the playing cards go from 1 to 13, but certain effects may change their values even beyond that range. If I had this belt, then when it's charged, it adds 2 to the value of my brain cards, so this 13 would become 15. When playing a trick, if you have an effect that changes the value of a card and it creates a tie perhaps for who would win the trick, then the tied card that was played into the trick first wins the tie. I should also mention, if a card deck is ever empty and you need to draw a new card, reshuffle its discard pile into a new deck and then draw what you are owed. If there's no discard pile to reshuffle, then you don't get to draw. We're not going to go through all of the abilities on all of the cards, as how they work and when they resolve is printed directly on them. And with the rules we've learned so far, you should be able to interpret them with confidence. That said, if you need a reminder of their timings, you'll find the ability types summarized here in the rulebook. So now we know how to play tricks, and as we learned, you'll continue playing them with the winner of each one, collecting the current trick and leading the next, until eventually you've played 8 tricks, which ends the round. Now players may use any charged end-of-round abilities they have, and if they have more than one, they can resolve them in any order. Then you score victory points based on which side of your alignment dial is face up. If it's this hero side, you gain 1 victory point for each trick you won that round. So in this case, I'd win 3 points. If it's on the villain side, you earn 4 points if you won no tricks that round. So here the player would earn 4 points and indicate that on their dial. But if they had won even a single trick, they would not earn anything from this villain side. And just to be clear, for both heroes and villains, the number of tricks you won is only counted at the very end of the round. If you won a trick as a villain, but had an ability you could use to give that trick away, it does not count as having won a trick at the end of the round. All that matters for heroes and villain scoring is how many tricks you still have at the very end of the round. After any hero or villain scoring, each player returns their stamina tokens from any abilities they had charged to their personal supply. In this way, you never lose any stamina from round to round unless an effect specifically says that you permanently lose a stamina. Either way, you end the round by passing the dealer token to the next player in clockwise order. And you'll find all of these end-of-round steps listed here. Then you start a new round, just as before, with the new dealer gathering all of the playing cards together from wherever they are to be reshuffled, dealing 8 cards to each player once again. And I should point out, during the third round, as it says here, you would then draw an event. This means you reveal the top card of this deck and follow its instructions. Here it has effects to be resolved when it is revealed and also at the end of the round. When an event has end-of-round scoring effects like this one does, you still also score the usual hero and villain points based on your alignment as well. At the end of the third round, you discard the event and you don't draw any more during the remaining rounds. However, at this step during round 5, when you would normally gain a stamina and draw story cards, it instead tells us to choose and reveal superheroes. Each of the other spaces on your player board will be filled with story cards. And now, starting with the player to the left of the current dealer and going clockwise, each person will reveal and pick one of the 2 superhero cards they had stored here to put face up in this space, discarding the other. This represents the superhero or villain you've become. You now resolve any when revealed effects it has, along with any other effects at their indicated times. At the end of the 5th and final round, the player with the most victory points on their alignment board wins, and it doesn't matter which side is face up, as they will both show the same value. If there's a tie for most victory points, the tied players share the victory. Okay, with that understood, let's now take a look at the changes in a 2-player game. When dealing cards at the start of the round, each of the 2 players are dealt an extra hand of 8 cards that are kept to their right, which represents their sidekick. Don't examine your sidekick's cards, but instead, each player reveals the top 2. During the game, make sure you don't mix your sidekick's cards with the ones you'll be holding. Also, sidekicks are never the dealer, and they never lead tricks. We'll assume this player is leading the trick, and a player always leads the trick with a card from their own hand, and then you continue in clockwise order as usual. But when it comes to a sidekick's turn, their controlling player picks one of the 2 revealed sidekick cards to play into the trick, and they must follow suit if possible. Then after, if there are cards remaining in the sidekick's hand, you reveal the next one. Once every player and sidekick has gone, you then evaluate who won the trick as usual. If a trick is won by a card that came from a player's hand, then that player collects the trick as usual. If a sidekick wins the trick with a card that came from their hand, then you just discard the trick. It does not go to their controlling player. However, their player will lead the next trick. Sidekicks never score points, and players cannot interact with sidekicks using their story cards, and abilities never affect sidekicks. Otherwise, a 2-player game follows all the same rules as games with 3 or more players. The game also comes with rules and components for solo play, but those I'll leave for you to discover on your own. Otherwise, that's everything you need to know to play Origin Story. If you have any questions about anything you saw here, feel free to put them in the comments below, and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance. You'll also find forums for discussion, pictures, other videos, and lots more over on the games page at Board Game Geek, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a like, subscribing, and clicking that little bell icon so you get a notification anytime we post a new video. And if you'd like to support us directly, you can join our Patreon team, which I'll have linked below. But until next time, thanks for watching.